morning, students. Now today we are here to proceed with the next part of our geography lesson, that is distributional map. Now in our first class we have learnt about the two methods of distributional map. Which were those two methods? Yes, the dot method and the choropleth method. Today we are going to learn about the third method. Now which is the third method? It is the isopleth method. Now in your previous class you must have learnt about contour maps and isobar maps. Now what are contour maps? So you will see contour maps are nothing but a topographic map on which the shape of the land surface is shown by contour lines. So contour maps are topographic maps on which you will find the shape of the land surface is shown with the help of contour lines. What are isobars? So isobars are nothing but the lines joining the places of equal air pressure on the map. What are isobars? Lines joining the places of equal air pressure on the map. And isobars, they show the distribution of air pressure in the atmosphere. What do they show? They show the distribution of air pressure in the atmosphere. Now we will be learning what are isopleth maps. So in isopleth maps, you will find that distribution is shown with the help of lines. Like as we have learned previously, in the dot method, the distribution is shown with the help of dots. In choropleth method, distribution is shown with the help of shades and tints. And in isopleth method, it is shown with the help of lines showing equal values. So this distribution shows the distribution of lines showing equal values, and when the distribution of a variable is continuous, so you will find the isopleth method is used in order to show its distribution. So when the distribution is continuous, if it is same, then you will find then the isopleth method is used to draw the distributional map. Now, what do we require for these maps? For these maps, we need to have the accurate data regarding the altitude, rainfall, temperature, etc. Like for example, in dot method, we used to collect the data by means of counting, whereas in choropleth method, it was collected by means of measuring and surveying. So here, you need to have an accurate rainfall data related to the temperature, rainfall, etc. And distribution is shown with the help of lines. Now the sub-administrative unit are not taken into consideration. So in choropleth map we have seen that they consider the sub-administrative unit, whereas in isopleth map we don't consider the sub-administrative unit, and the statistical data belongs to those respective places. So whatever data is collected, it should be belonging to that particular place of which we are going to make the map. Yes, then such data, what it is called as? It is called as a point related data. Yes, the data which is collected for a particular place, it is called as a point related data. Now, how can isopleth maps become more accurate? How can there be accuracy in isopleth maps? So first thing, the values of the isolines are written on the map at their respective locations. So we write the values like how in choropleth map, dot method map, we have those class intervals are made here also, but then your isopleth map we particularly show those values on the map itself with the help of lines. Yes, on the respective locations. Next you will find that if the data for more places is available, then the mapping of the distribution can be done more accurately. If the data is collected for more places at a time, then it becomes easier to do the mapping more accurately. Now this is how the isopleth map looks like. So now you can see that in this method isoplate, you can see that the values are written on the map itself. Yes, can you see that? And then you can see the lines are used in order to join the places. Yes, so this is how the isoplate map looks like. Now just have a look at the map and just will try to answer some questions. Now first question, where do you find the rainfall, in which part is more increasing? So in which part of the district? Now this is a map of Amravati districts. So which part is showing us the more rainfall? Can you tell me? Yes, it is the northern part that is showing the more rainfall. And where you will find it is decreasing? Yes, it is decreasing towards the south. The rainfall is decreasing towards the south. Now what is the lowest value of rainfall you can see on the map? Yes, the lowest value here is 800. You can see here down also the lowest value is 800. And what is the difference between the two intervals? It is showing you the difference of 100. Okay, so what is the interval, difference of interval between each isoplate? So there is a difference of 100 between each isoplate. Yes, so this is what the isoplate map is like. Now next, you'll see that there are certain steps to be followed when you draw the isoplate map. Which are those steps we need to consider? First thing, yes, by considering the highest and the lowest values of the variable. So in choropleth map also we have seen that the highest and the lowest values of the variables was to be considered while drawing the choropleth map. Then the class intervals is decided to draw the map, in turn decides the difference between the line. So whatever class interval is decided, like as we have seen in the previous map, there was a difference of 100. So accordingly you'll find whatever class intervals is decided to draw the map, it later on decides the difference between the lines, how much difference it shows, right? Now next, second is lines are drawn for the decided intervals. So accordingly the lines are drawn for the decided intervals, as I showed you in the previous map, like two locations having the same rainfall, temperature, whatever values are there, they were being joined together with the help of lines, and accordingly the lines are decided in the intervals. And location with the same values are joined by line. So the places, the locations having same values are joined together in an isoplate map. Now we have learnt about how to draw the isoplate map, what class intervals are considered and all. Now what conclusion can you draw from all these things? So first is, if the lines are closer to each other, then the change in the variable is steep. So what is the first conclusion can be drawn? That if the lines are closer to each other, then the change in the variable is steep, and if they are far away from each other, then the change in the variable is gentle. Yes, so this is what it tells you about after you draw the map. Next, you get an idea of the natural trends of distribution of the variable with the help of this map. So it also tells you about the natural trends of that particular region with the help of those lines drawn. As you have seen about, it tells you about the steep and the gentle slope of that particular area, of that particular district. So it tells you about the natural trend of the distribution of the variable of that particular region. Now you have one more map on your screen. It is again a Kolhapur district map which talks about the rainfall. Now I'll just ask you few questions. This map is there in your textbook also. You may refer to it also. So in which direction is the rainfall more in the district? So just tell me, in which direction you see the rainfall more in this district? Yes? Yes. It is in the western direction that the rainfall is more. Next, In which direction do you see the rainfall is decreasing? Yes? Tell me first. Yes, it is decreasing towards the east. Right? The rainfall is decreasing towards the east. Now, which class shows low rainfall category? Yes, you can see here the class intervals are shown down. So, which class is showing the low rainfall? So, it is the 600, class 600. The last one is showing you the low rainfall over there. Yes. So, this is how you learn about the isoplate map. Yes. Now, when we are talking about, we have seen about the isoplate map, how to draw it, how to try to understand the landform and also the location of particular area. So now so far we have learnt about the three different types of methods of map, that is the choroplate, isoplate and the dot method. So now I hope you must have got an idea about how to draw a map with different methods, distributional maps with different methods. Now let's come back. Now, as you all know, maps are also necessary for us in order to show the location of place, to show the direction. It helps you to show the distance. Okay, so in this way map is helpful. Now you must all be aware, or so many years it must be conducted, we all be conduct in our school field visits, right? I hope everybody remembers. Now you all are in 9th standards, right? So why are field visits conducted? Can anybody tell me? Yes? Think about. Okay. So you'll find that in order, by learning, you get an idea about a particular place, about particular region, or also about, we can talk about the climate, physiography, everything about all the countries, all the states, districts, places, etc. But field visits are so conducted so that you will get a personal experience about what you have learned in your books. Okay, so that is why we have field visits. Now next you will find field visits is an important study in the method of geography, in geography. Yes, so it is one of the most important method in geography, because geography we all talk about physiography, we all talk about environment, we talk about nature, but when you personally experience that nature, that environment, that physiography, then that is your own personal experience that you share. So that is, for that we need to conduct those field visits. We need to visit that particular place. Then it also talks about geographical concepts and elements. You can, as I told you, that you can directly experience what we are talking about, the physical, sitting here, we talk about foreign countries, but or we talk about within our country itself, but when you visit those particular places, then you get the personal experience about those geographical concepts and the elements which you have learnt in the school, and you get directly connected with the nature. You get a direct experience for the same. And also it is useful for understanding the correlation between human and environment. So when you yourself go to that particular place, it helps you to learn, understand what kind of correlation is there between the human being and the environment. Yes, so because you yourself personally experience those things being over there. Yes, then apart from that, next you will see that in a field visit, when you go for a field visit, what kind of preparations you think you should be ready with? What kind of preparations you should make? We need to prepare our mind. Like for example, now anyways you all are at home, otherwise this is a summer vacation where people are tend to go out for outings and all, and for vacations, enjoying to various places. So what do? We start planning about what are we going to do, where are we going to go, how are you going to go. So you need to make all these preparations also when you go for a field visit. Yes, the field visit is nothing but it's a study trip, so accordingly we are going to think about. Yes, so what preparations you make. So first thing, when you decide of a place, when you think of a field visit, you need to decide the place and the purpose of your field visit. Means why are you going to go to that place? If you have decided a particular place, what exactly you are going to learn over there, what experience you are going to get, and what is your purpose of visiting that particular place. Second, it helps you, that is you need to decide the elements which are to be observed. So when you go to that particular place, we decide the elements what we are going to see, what are the things we are going to see. Like I'll just remind you about in 7th standard when we go to that Ganesh making. It's a kind of a field visit we have, right? So what do you learn over there? You learn various things like the art of the people, how do they do it, what instruments they use, what preparations they make, or what is the procedure of making. So all these things you need to you go and experience there itself. Okay, you have a talk with the people over there, and then you also get knowledge about that, right? Then you also need to prepare this, you have to study the location map and the route map. So when you think of a particular place, so you have to find out where the place is exactly located, and with which route are you going to go there, because it's a school trip, like school field visit. If you are going for, then of course the school has to plan out for everything when they are taking so many students. So accordingly they have to also plan out for the means of transport, they have to look out for the how many students are going to go, which route will be suitable, and then the place also, it should be not far away. So you should not just waste your time in traveling, but you should be reaching the place early, enjoying the atmosphere, getting knowledge whatever you want there, and also returning back safely. So for that, route also has to be decided. So all these things we need to take into consideration. Then planning about the distance, transport route, and of transport and duration of field visit. So you have to think about, as I told you earlier also, you have to think about if you are deciding for a place which is nearby, of course it will be easy for you, it will be good for you, because you will be reaching it faster, you will be enjoying it more, and also you will learn about it more, and you will be reaching back safely on time at home. But at the same time, if you are taking a far away place, then you will waste most of your time in traveling, and what you will not be able to go and learn more things over there. So that is why we need to plan accordingly what things which place we are going to go. Then when you decide of a particular place, of course you need to make a questionnaire. Now what is a questionnaire? That is the question bank you have to prepare as per the purpose of the field visit. So what is the purpose of the field visit is not just going and enjoying in the environment, but at the same time gaining knowledge, gaining personal experience, and also making a note of whatever you have experienced, so that it would be a lifelong for you. Yes, so you need to make a questionnaire for all that. Yes, then when we talk of field visit, as I told you, when we go for a plan out for any picnics or anything with your family, with your friends and all, we are very much anxious to pack up with your things, right? Okay, I want this, I want that. You start giving demands to your parents, demanding your parents about certain things. So when you go for a field visit also, there are some necessary things which you need to carry along with you. Now, which are those necessary things? Yes, first thing is you need to have a pen and a book with you. Then what else is required? You need binoculars, then a flask or a water bottle, a bag, okay, wherein you can put all your needful things in that. Then cap, it depends upon which season you are going. So for safety precautions you need to take care of your health as well. Then camera, which will help you in order to take good pictures, and also it will be good memories for your lifetime you can have with you. So these things you need to carry along with you. And they're also related to safety purposes. You can just carry a first aid box along with you. Yes, so when you're going with your friends, so first aid box, if anybody gets hurts and all, so it will be good for them to treat. Now for this field visit, what you need to decide: when we are going on a field visit, that means we are going to learn something. Yes, we are going to gain knowledge of certain things. So that is the reason you need to decide, you need to select the study area. So when you are doing the selecting the study area, you have to see that the elements should be selected after studying the local conditions. So of course, like whenever people are deciding for field visit, maybe authorities are deciding, so what do they take into consideration? They will see that the elements which they have thought about are which are selected for studying. Why are we going there? We are going to learn about the local conditions over there, about the natural atmosphere over there, natural environment over there. So elements should be selected after studying the local conditions. Then second, necessary permissions have to be obtained. You just cannot go and visit any place without anybody's permission. You need to, for example, if you are going for a field visit to a biscuit factory, to an ice cream factory, or if you are going to any hospitals, if you are going to postal department, fire brigade, so they won't allow such a big crowd to just enter in, right? So what is the priority is required, necessary is that we need to first take in the prior permission of that particular authorities of the particular place, and we have to inform them, like how are we coming, what is the crowd, how many students are there, from which standard, whether the students are from primary section, secondary section. So all these necessary information need to be provided to those particular authorities. And this, for that again you will find that we need to take certain precautions. Now we have learnt about how we select a place and all, everything, like what is a field visit, how do you go about. Now apart from that, when we think about, you also need to take certain precautions during field visit. Now what precautions will you take during field visit? First thing, one should ensure safety of oneself and others. Like as I told you, you need to carry those necessary gadgets with you in order to ensure your safety. Like suppose if you are having any health problem, health issues, then accordingly you should be very much careful with your health and take the necessary requirements along with you, so that the other people won't be troubled because of you. Then next you'll find, when you're going from the school, of course you need to obey the instructions that are given by the teachers. So whatever instructions your teachers are giving you, you need to follow those instructions. Then you should not go to unknown and remote places alone. Now if we are going to an unknown place, so we need to be remaining in the crowd itself, we need to be together itself. It is not that you find something new over there and you alone go roaming about. You may lost your way, or the others may also get worried because of that. So sorry, you should not go to unknown remote places alone. Then also you should try to understand the local circumstances by conversation with the local people. So whichever area you are visiting, you are going to learn about that particular place, about that particular city or country or town, whatever. So you need to be very much friendly with the local people over there and try to have a conversation with them, try to understand their lifestyle, try to understand what are the changes they can see in that particular region, or any other doubts related to that particular place, you may have a talk with the people and gain knowledge from them. Then also, you should not harm the environment during your visit. You are visiting to others places, so just imagine children, anybody coming to your house and spoiling your house, will you like it? No. So as a citizen of this country, we should know our duties. As we know our rights, we should also know our duties. That is, we need to take care of our environment. We should not disturb the environment cycle, or we should not spoil the atmosphere of whichever place you are visiting. So, and then you should always keep first aid box for emergency. I have informed you this earlier also, that whenever you are going for any field visit or any outing, the most important thing you need to keep with you is the first aid box in case of any emergency. Yes. So as I told you that as a citizen of the country, it is our duty to keep the environment clean. So if you are visiting to any particular place, if you are spoiling it, then it is your duty to make it clean as a student, right? So we should not harm environment in any ways. Yes. Now, after visiting a particular place, of course you have gone through that place, you have enjoyed a lot, then the next task that comes to you is about writing a report. Now what is report writing? Now you all must be knowing about the news channels, or you can say the people who just collect news about, what do? They collect the report of all the incidences, of all the events and happenings all around, these news reporters, and they write a report based on that. So in the same way, when you are going to a particular place, when you are visiting a particular place, you have to observe it very carefully and you have to make a note of it in your notebooks. So then it will be very easier for you to write a report. So when you are writing a report, you have to see that a field report should be written on the basis of information obtained after the visit is complete. So when do we write a report? After your field visit is over, after when you come back, we write a report. You mention about from the starting of the day till the end, whatever you have, whichever places you have visited, whatever you have experienced, all about that you are going to mention in the report. Yes. Then what are the things, what are the points you need to write in a report? So this is just a format I am giving you. How do you write a report? You must be always also having this in your languages and compositions, report writing. Yes. So the first point is introduction. So you have to introduce the place where you have visited. Then you have to talk about the location of that particular place, where it is exactly located. Third, you have to tell the location, means by means of route map, location map you are going to talk about. Then third is the physiography. Then you are going to talk about the physiography of that particular place, whatever you have observed, whatever you have seen. Then you will tell about the climate of that particular place, that particular region. Then population. You have to make a note of all these things when you go for the field visit, so that you can make a mention in your report. Land utilization. So how much is the land there, how much land is utilized, all that information you need to write in your report. Also you will mention about the environmental problems and measures, about what measures they are taking, what are the environmental problems faced by those particular places, and what measures they are taking in order to curb those problems. Yes. And the last one you are going to write in your report is the conclusion. So you are going to mention about all this thing. What was the conclusion drawn by you after visiting to that place and after collecting so much of information? So children, in the first lesson we have learnt about what are distributional maps. We have learnt about the 3 methods of map. We have also learned about drawing those maps with the help of those 3 methods and how are they useful. Now today we learnt about the third method, that was isoplate method, and we learnt about field visit and report writing. Yes, we'll just have a small activity and just try to find out. Now first is, in isoplate map, distribution are shown with the help of places showing dash values. So places showing what kind of values? Equal values, unequal values, or lesser values. What is the answer? Yes, the answer is equal values. Yes. Next, geographical concepts and elements can be directly experienced through dash. So you have in your brackets survey, field visits, mapping. So what is the correct answer? It is field visits. Then the third one, in dash maps the sub-administrative units are not taken into consideration. So the answer is isoplate map. Yes, so here we end with your first lesson in geography. So now next we'll meet after with the second lesson. Till then, thank you children.